This is Bebsi. We're going to be doing a video review video. Just felt like, reviewing some VODs, had some people send some in. Hopefully y'all can learn something from it. Okay, so today we have replays from Flameburst, who is in Rise Division, Opticals, who is in Bloom, Vertigo, who is in RCS Division, one replay from Spencer, which is in Bloom, Void in Bloom, StrawhatZelda in RCS, and then we have another Rise match of Specs versus BH. So I will try my best to leave timestamps in hopefully the description and the video itself. So if you want to, you can skip ahead and go to whatever match you want. It doesn't really matter to me. Okay, we're gonna get started here. So I don't think I've seen this match, or I just don't remember it, but see Absol come in. So yeah, this is super risky here. The Volt Switch lead is actually very good versus this team. There's no ground type, but you went into probably the one thing here that would have been bad. You have a lot of good switch-ins here. I understand wanting to get offensive momentum by trying to go in on this, but this can be Cosmic Power. It's a fairy type, so it naturally resists you. And I think the best move this thing has is probably Iron Tail. So this is this is a very risky play and doesn't really gain you much. I think going Rotom here or Crobat would have been a much better play on the Moonblast, potential Moonblast. And then the thing is you went Crobat anyway, so it's you could have been in here. You wouldn't have taken, unless it's leftovers. But the worst you would have taken is maybe 30, maybe 40% if they crit you. And you'd still be in a good spot here with your Absol to take on the Mew later on in the match. We're going to let it play out here. Cross Poison does a lot and poisons them. I think they're Magic Guard though, so... And they get the T-Wave off. Yeah, they are Magic Guard. And the T-Wave is kind of huge here because that's your main speed check to Raikou. And Floatzel, outside of Rain, of course. Now you can't even really speed check Mew, and that if it gets boosted, it can one-shot you. Obviously, there's not really anything you can do here. I guess you could double back to Electrode or U-turn out, but it's safe to assume that your Poison move here. So I don't know if there's really much you can do about this situation. I think it's just kind of unfortunate. You do get the Poison, but it doesn't matter. The only thing I could suggest is a U-turn possibly. You pick up the KO. That's good. Even it up. Pelipper comes in. They set up Rain. They just U-turn out. You probably U-turned as well, unless you're banded. Parrot, yeah, full Parrot into the Thunder. Yeah, I mean, once again, you could have gone Rotom, but also it could have been Scald. So I don't know if it would have mattered too much, because unless you're Scarf, and you wouldn't be doing much to it anyway, just because of Rain reducing your fire move. So Sack and Crobat's fine there, but it is unfortunate you did, because I'm sure you clicked U-turn there. It's unfortunate that you got full Parrot. Just the game we play. Chloroblast's gonna come in. It's not doing a lot. I don't know if this is Specs or not, but the next one kills. Do you go for it? You do go for it. So again, you do get momentum off of this, but your Rotom isn't really gonna be doing much to this in Rain. In fact, I don't even know why they're protecting. They should just attack you. Because Thunderbolt's not gonna do a lot. That's unlucky miss, but once again, he was gonna Leech Seed, and it was probably gonna sit in front of you anyway. The Thunderbolt's always going to be doing more until it rains down. Well, no, that's not true. That's not true, actually. But you can see here, it's it is unfortunate you missed that one, because you needed to get this thing into the berry range sooner. And it gets its Citrus back, which is really just kind of unfortunate. There's not much to say here, honestly. It really comes down to kind of just not sacking your stuff, but also, I'm kind of looking at their team, and you don't really have a lot to deal with the Mew in the back, and at this point you're 3 Pokemon down, and the Tropius is behind a sub. I think the problem is kind of just the beginning, is just sacking the Absol, because you basically gave Osprey here pretty much all the momentum. And I just want to preface this, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to say you're bad or anything. It's just that it really comes down to you just making the misplay at the beginning and just starting on the back foot when you technically had the offensive momentum. I'm going to turn my mic down a little bit here. You technically had the offensive momentum, and you kind of just like let them get that right back. Once again, you have a beautiful Volturn core, like Electrode, Rotom, Crobat, especially no ground type, just kind of sits and like just pivots around constantly. And in reality, there shouldn't be like a big reason to not click U-turn and just position yourself to the advantage. Like Melodic is a Pokemon I think that if you think the Clefable is going to status use someone to absorb that, mostly because of Marvel scale, but also because it doesn't really care about the speed in this matchup. It's really just there to wall the Floatzel. But, you know, it's tough. I'm assuming this is Ice Beam as well. Energy Ball, it's doing a lot. We'll go ahead and finish this one up because I like, there's not really much else to say. Like, now you're just getting cheesed by Tropius, which is, you know, that's life, I guess. Facade a little early. I don't really agree with Facade here, just because like I think Ice Beam's better, and clearly like you had like Facade just isn't doing a lot, and Ice Beam hits everything. You can freeze everything. Like, it's just good in general. And I might be like talking too early. Maybe you have a Toxic and Leech Seed. Yeah, and the Leech Seed here, it's like, this is the bad thing about running a like Flame Orb on Melodic. I think Leftovers in general is just really good in this matchup because chances are you're gonna get Thunder Waved or something, or Toxic, and like you should be relying on that to like. Sorry, I'm sorry. You should be relying on the Toxic from the opposing like Pelipper or like Clefable. In this case, it was Thunder Wave, right? You should be using that to give you a defense boost and using Leftovers passively through the game, because this situation isn't nearly as like bad for you if you have Leftovers, because that 6% really adds up. So Facade here, you could have Ice Beamed, and that's fine. But and this is a gimmick set. Like, there's only one thing this thing can do, and it's sub Leechy Protect. So you know they have to protect on certain turns. So if that turn you break the sub, right, then you're faster, and then you kill with Ice Beam, or you predict Protect. But instead now, like, you're getting chipped down by your own Flame Orb and the Leech Seed. So it's just, you know, if you were getting 6% back every turn here in this situation instead of losing an extra, it changes the whole dynamic of it. That and Ice Beam. And I think that's all it really comes down to, is just kind of, you know, just playing a little safer with your threats in the back. Like, I don't even know if Absol dying that early really mattered. But generally versus Clefable, it's very passive and probably won't die in one hit. So just in general, you can kind of assume that going something more passive might be better, especially in the early game when you don't know what their set is. Like, at this point, nothing's been revealed. This could be Calm Mind, this could be Stealth Rocks, this could be Cosmic Power, and, you know, even then, you wouldn't even be able to really tell if it's Life Orb or anything until the end of the turn when it's revealed to be Leftovers. So at that point, if you see Leftovers, you should just kind of assume it's a bulkier variant. Especially since, I don't know if this was Specs Electrode or Scarf Electrode or something, but it could have been Scarf, I guess, too. I don't know if that outspeeds Floatzel or not, but if it does, I guess that makes sense. Specs is probably better in general, just because of no ground type. Once again, I'm not trying to pick apart your team or anything, I'm just trying to make a point in that when you see this kind of damage calc, like 24% here on a Clefable, it's probably max FDF. Just go your Melodic and do this tanky shit. If anything, best case scenario, you don't, like, you get Thunder Wave, right? That's worst case scenario. And then you have +1 defense for the rest of the game. You know what I mean? So that's kind of all it comes down to, is just playing your turn smarter, because then you avoid your Crobat getting poisoned, which really hurt you, especially versus Tropius, because this thing has Infiltrator, and that's probably what you were hoping on. It's probably what you were counting on to deal with this. Not even so much Ice Beam on Melodic. But, you know, there's not much more to say than there. I think we should just move on to the next game. Let's see how this ends, though. Because, let's see. So, yeah, the Melodic dies to the passive damage. And this fucking guy. The Randbat's Terror. This guy comes in, It's lefties. He's gonna get the Stitch Bear. He's gonna do his shit, right? Overheat kills. Pelipper comes in. You get a kill. This is nice, really, and it just kind of shows how like good this could have been if it wasn't the last Pokemon. And at this point, yeah, now Cosmic Power, it's over, right? That's GG's. Shake my hand. Yep. TY. That's for, but oh, just hit me. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. You must have been pretty tilted at that point. I understand. It is a frustrating game. It's all RNG. You missed your overheat early on in the game. That sucks too. You accidentally stacked your Absol. It's just, you know, it sucks, but like I said, it's really just those two things. Just kind of recognizing when something's probably going to be a status setter. And, like, kind of just by looking at the team build, you can tell, like, this Clefable's probably rocks, too. It's probably Moonblast, Thunderwave, rocks. Like, this is just a super passive Clefable. And, that's it. Game 2. We got versus Bigndad. I'm sorry, I don't know which coach this is. I can look in a bit, but... There's an Iron Treads in this. Oh, this must be a different league. Here, I'll come back to this one. Okay, let's move on to Opticals. So this is his week 3. This is their week 3. Versus Shash, who's been in Indigo for a while. Pretty good player. Highs and lows, as we all have. And Opticals is new here, so like, you know, this is kind of like, in my opinion, a match that like really sets where you're at in a rookie division. It's like, if you can do well against this Indigo vet, like, you're probably good against the rest of the draft, at least in like in terms of a fair battle. So we'll go here. Xatu lead. This is in general just like kind of smart to do, especially if it's probably Rocky Helmet too. This is a pretty standard Xatu set. The U-turn chip is really nice. I don't think it matters because I think it just dies. But we see go to Rotom Frost. You teleport out. Let's go teleport. Sharpedo's gonna come in. But even then, like going for like speed boost here. It's kind of weird just because like you're probably not gonna kill it. You're not gonna kill it in one hit, and now you just have to switch. And it's good that you get your Clefable burned here, just because now you have like a status soaker. I don't want to get too in the minute details of this turn here, but like you could have gone this turn to get Obstagoon burned as well. You could have doubled in, as we see here. So like they U-turn out and you teleport. So you get the momentum. You can go Obstagoon this turn and get yourself burned. And chances are you're probably faster. Like, your same speed tier is Sharpedo. And instead you don't, like, you scout out Will-O-Wisp, but, you know, Obstagoon doesn't care about Will-O-Wisp. So I think that's the better play here. But like I said, I don't want to get into the minute details of it. You go Clef, it gets burned, which isn't really bad for you. I think the worst thing about this turn is that it reveals that you're unaware and not Magic Guard. Wisp Hex. See, the set is walled by Obstagoon. Cosmic Power. Pretty cheesy Clefable here. It does set up on Screamtail. Doesn't really care about Screamtail, like baton passing and stuff. Obstagoon, see, and then going to Obstagoon here is like super risky. Though I'm assuming you were reading the Encore. You know, you still don't really want to take chip on this yet. And in the case that you went this on turn 2, you could have used this next turn, your aggressive double here, or aggressive switch. Sorry. It worked out for you because you did get the Facade chip. But you could have used like that turn before to get it. They Wish. This is not a switch in. Like, that's kind of the problem with Wish, is that, you know, it's very obvious when it's not obvious. Obvious isn't the right word. The word is like, it's very easy to read when they're gonna go for a switch, and Infernape being at 84% is just kind of low priority. So, you know, but also they didn't really have any Facade switch-ins. The only thing I can think of is they could have gone Cloyster, because Cloyster is very high defense. Probably would have tanked Facade pretty well, and then would have got healed back to full. Tauros comes in. You go for Protect. protect the wave crash. I don't know if this is it's got 2 kills. Oh yeah, that is banded. It is very banded. So we'll kind of touch on Tauros a little bit in a future replay, but you know, a lot of people are sleeping on these things like actual like damage output and great moves like Flare Blitz and Wave Crash for each form respectively. In addition to Raging Bull for screens, like this thing is very capable of being full offensive, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on it as just like this bulky intimidator. It's very Landorus-esque, and kind of caught you off guard. And in this instance, like you know it outspeeds you, or it should outspeed you, unless you were assuming bulky, which, you know, I guess looking at this team, you could assume it would be bulky. But, you know, there's no, that's just draft. You know, there's no real way to tell. I'm assuming that's choice banded. I don't know for sure, but it does take out your Obstagoon, which could have, as you saw, did millions and millions of damage to the whole team, except Cloister. So let's go back, get more context. So Wave Crash does come out. Your boy dies. You go Swampert. He doesn't want to, which I don't understand. Like, I personally click Wave Crash again there. Even if you're toxic rocks or something, like, what are you going to do? Flip turn out? Yawn? That would have been the worst thing, and then I was going to switch anyway. So, honestly, not like the best offensive use of offensive momentum in a switch. I think you just go for the attack again, especially since nothing really switches in when you look at the team. So I think you kind of lucked out there. Personally, I would have clicked Wave Crash again, and I think it would have hurt pretty hard. Swampert, if it's defensive, it'll be fine. But if you clicked Yawn, then, like, I could have gone anything after. Like, I can go Rotom Frost on that turn instead, and then just Volt Switch when this Clefable comes out. But it does just go ahead and go to sleep, which is very fortunate for you. Goes for the burn, knowing the Clef is burned. Also not really, like, super optimal play. And Cloister comes out. You double the Zam, which is a great double. Man. And you click Psychic and one-shot it. I don't know if this is Specs. I want to say this is Sash. What is a calc? My man is doing calculus out here with these doubles. Very good double. It's kind of a catch-all option. Like, it deals with Screamtail switching in. It deals with Tauros switching in. This is kind of why I don't really agree with, like, going for Will-O-Wisp again when you're drowsy. Just Volt Switch. So I think that really enabled you here, and I'm pretty sure it's just Zam from here. Just doing Zam things. Right, so Sharpedo comes in. This is Ice Beam. Kind of a risky switch in, too. You don't really need your Xatu anymore, really, or your Swampert at this point. So I think those are better options. Luckily, you didn't die. I don't know if this is Dragon Dance. I think it is. You go for Protect. Dragon Dance doesn't matter because you're going to get Speed Boost. Yep. But, did they go for a second one? Oh, it's a freeze. That's what happened. Lucky again. Like I said, you're positioning yourself decently, but, like, you got to get this thing in safer, dude, because you almost got one shot, and then you would have been down, and then what do you do against Dragon Dance, right? You're going to yawn it so he can Dragon Dance twice before he falls asleep and then roost it all back? And I don't, like, you know, I'm not trying to be, like, mean or anything. I'm just saying that, like, you know, like, if you have Ice Beam on Sharpedo specifically to deal with Dragonite, you can't be risking it by switching in the Dragon Claw and stuff. And even if you switch in, like, you're not going to get the speed boost immediately. You still have to protect. And at that point, you know, it just gets out of hand. Like, that almost killed you. Let's not get too hard into that right there. So you get the freeze, Rock Tomb, just in case they want to switch. Cool. It's all cool. Just kill it. And then Aqua Jet. So, yeah, that's obviously... This is banded at this point, which is why it kind of stinks for Shash here. He has to lock into Aqua Jet, which gives you a free double in the Xatu. You teleport. That's the only move you click. That's all you need to click here. And then now it's all Zam from here. So like I said, I don't know if this is Specs or not, but Shadow Ball, Psychic, right? Yup. Anyway, yeah, you position your Zam well. That was a really good double in the mid game there against Cloister. You just took advantage of the sleep really well. It really kind of comes down to, like, just being careful. Just like the last video, you know, like, I mean, the last replay, I'm sorry. Just not really trying to risk your things that do damage. Luckily, you kept your Zam alive, but, like, if the Zam had died to some random crit or whatever, then, like I said, I think you're Sash. just based off of you switching moves. But anyway, that's about it. Just be careful. Good game. Good switches. Good all-around play. We could go on to game 2. I see Magneton. I'm a fan. The Magneton. I don't know if it was supposed to trap here, or if you just wanted like a strong move, strong volt switch. But either way, looks like screens offense. Rotom Heat. Is there Rotom Heat in the last match, or am I crazy? Must have been like 2 matches ago. I don't know. Anyway, so let's just start up. Magneton lead, possibly revealing that you're Scarf by going turn 1 confidently against a team with Ursaluna, Rotom Heat, Flygon, and Gengar that outspeed you naturally. You're pretty much like saying, hey, I'm Scarf, and you can use that to your advantage. And truthfully, I don't know if this is a violate or not, but that's what I would assume personally. Swampert comes in, they go for flip turn. You see helmet, no helmet. Just gonna set up screens, I guess. You get hit by Freeze Dry, which really hits hard, but you do live, which is fortunate, because now the Yawn definitely came in handy, but yeah, I mean, you don't really have a good switch it for this. Like Spinef Clefable can come in, but if you're assuming screens, you might be thinking, oh, he's gonna Aura Veil here, I'm gonna hit the Yawn, so they have to switch out after, and then you flip turn. And I'm sure that's what you were thinking about. So, like I said, I don't want to dive too deep into that specific interaction, but you are fortunate that you live the Freeze Dry here, because now you can use this as a sack later or whatever if you switch out. Yeah, you flip turn. Let's go flip turn. And now, now they're sleeping. So now, Obstagoon's gonna do Obstagoon things. They go for, that's a good knockoff. That is an insanely good knockoff read there. So knockoff hits everything. Like, they don't have a knockoff switch in, and catching them on that switch in is actually just chef's kiss. Good shit, man. The only thing I can say is that, like, for Toto specifically, if you're watching this, you know, like, that Knockfist is pretty free, and you have burned 0 sleep turns, which means that there's a high chance that you're gonna sleep at least, like, probably 3 more turns if you don't burn that sleep turn. So I always kind of agree with, like, staying in there, especially since you just got Veil Up. And if you lose Light Clay, that's like not a big deal. But now here you lost your Gengar, which was probably the best way to kill Clefable. And if it's Scarf or something, oh, let's see, actually. Knockoff is disabled. It was Scarf, so that was also a good way to deal with Alakazam. Like, you just got to be, it's the same thing I was just saying to Opticals here. Is you just got to be careful with your checks and stuff. Like, these are important Pokemon, and like your whole prep kind of comes down to this stuff. And if something like this goes down turn 4, it could be over from here. I don't know. This is the week 4 matchup, by the way. So we see Protect. Opticals wanted me to say something specifically about this interaction here. Apparently, if you didn't know, Obstagoon has a signature move that is similar to Protect, but drops the defense by half by contact moves. He wanted to make sure that he wanted to specify that, like, Obstruct would have helped a lot in this situation versus what's his name, the bear, Ursaluna, right? And because it was Protect instead, it kind of didn't work out like it should have. The good thing about Obstruct is, since it drops half the defense by half, it pretty much nullifies Veil. And if you do it again, then it's even better, right? Ursaluna probably doesn't die to anything ever under screens, I think. So it definitely could matter here. This turn specifically, close combat. So now it's Guts burned. Facade, yeah, see, 31%, and you're dead. Ursaluna, guys. Ursaluna, folks. They're going to go ahead and switch out, which, you know, I don't really agree with, but Magnetize is super smart. So that's, I don't know if it's Scarf Magnetize. Could just be sacking your Swampert. Either way, use that to get Xatu in. They're going to Volt Switch. That is defensive. I might be capping. Fortunate miss on T-Wave. Yeah, it's definitely Fizz Def. Now you're kind of stuck spamming Roost, which is not as good in Gen 9 as it was in Gen 8. You're gonna teleport here probably. Oh, and you get frozen. Wait. Yep. Weird. Weird. Your team is cursed, man. You gotta be careful. Careful what you say, man. Like, you might get your shit frozen. Don't even joke about it, man. This season's freaky. Anyway, Zam in. Nasty plot. Flip turn. Not doing a lot. Yep, goodbye. Alakazam. This might die too. Oh, crit. I don't know if that crit mattered. Does this to, yeah, Alakazam. That's it. I mean, that's it, folks. Goodbye. See you later. Energy Ball is kind of weird versus Ursaluna. You can assume it's Guts, but, like, there's a chance that it could be Flamor bulletproof, and then you lose your Zam, but at that point it didn't really matter. Like, if that was bulletproof there, you probably were gonna die. Because it could just be Facade's bulletproof, right? I mean, like, that's not that crazy to think about. It's still getting the 140 base power. It could be a good, like, trip up. Because it also blocks Focus Blast, so that's all I'm saying. Psychic probably would have still killed there. Yeah, I might be lying too. I don't know, but I think Psychic was the better move to click there. Because even if you don't kill it, you might kill after burn. So, and you know, it doesn't matter too much just because Magneton would have outsped and killed. But just something to think about for anybody who's just running Ursaluna. Good game, man. Not a lot to go over here. It's really kind of just the obstruct thing. Like, you could have made... All you're saying is that, like, oh, this could have been a 6-0 matchup versus this being a 4-0 matchup. You did kind of get lucky with that freeze. Instant Thaw. That kind of saved your skin there. Not really, because I don't think you needed Xatu at this point, but it would have been nice to have it as a sack, I guess. Yeah, after you get the nasty blot up, it's over, so that's it. GG's. Moving on to Vertigo. Let's get some Arceus gameplay. Arceus tier gameplay. Alright, so I don't remember this game, but they said it was funny. So, is that Specs? That's Scarf. Okay. Yeah, I mean, good lead by Vertigo. You speed type Gengar, which is risky, but speed type in theory, right? And it could be Sash too, like Sash T-Spikes. That would kind of deal with Scarf Espeon. Though I do agree with a Tangela lead here, just because you know you pretty much get a knockoff on whatever you want, except Typhlosion, I guess, if Vertigo decides to leave that. But the Scarf getting knocked off early does kind of stink. I can't really tell if this is modest or not. Could be. So we on. Oh, it's bird time. Oh, it's bird time. Oh wow, that actually tanked really well. No helmet, flip turn. Okay, well nothing else is taking this. Actually, no, Zapdos can take that pretty well. U-turn out. No paralyze. Kind of lucky. You gotta be careful with those paralysis in there. You gotta figure Tyranitar's like not taking shit from Zapdos anyway, so maybe consider like in situations like that just hard switching to the T-Tar. Especially if this is leftovers, which I truthfully don't know. U-turn does suck. But you could have saved you got lucky. You could have been paralyzed is what I'm trying to say. This is Bandit. God damn, yeah. That would have been a good double to Ice Punch on the U-turn instead. Ice Punch coming through again, not nearly as strong. This thing's going to start walling you soon. It's going to get its HP back, probably double out on this turn to Donphan or Swampert. And you Ice Punch. Freeze? No freeze. I'm just expecting freezes now. Let me guess, right? Right here? No? So like, you know, I know it's like freeze is very, very lucky. But you can't fuck around with these ice moves. Like, even if... Like, you just gotta be careful because, like, you know, anything can froze it. So you sack this. T-Tar's putting in just work. Dies to the helmet. Does a lot of damage to everybody. And now Gengar comes out. Dazzling Gleam. That's a good pack from Delta. Earthquake gonna go to... I think that was a really good play there, clicking Earthquake. Even if it's not dazzlingly, it can still hit you as like Spec Shadow Ball or something really hard. So I agree with going for the kill there. Even if they go to Zapdos, if they go Zapdos, it's like who cares? What are they gonna do? U-turn, right? And take 1,000,000%. So good Earthquake. Sylveon's probably gonna come in. Zapdos comes in instead. Probably gonna try to go for Hurricane, Weezing, double. U-turn. Good U-turn actually from Delta there. A little risky, especially fucking around with the helmet. I'm sorry, with the rough skin, not helmet. Flip turns out. Good Toxic on the switch too. Toxic very good in this match as I'm noticing. Like if Gengar's gone, you Toxic everything. Especially Tangela, which can be really annoying for like Garchomp and Tyranitar. I don't really like. I kind of like looking back at it. I don't know how good like Tangela is in this matchup, just because of Staraptor. Like that Eviolite is not gonna help. This is Tailwind, so it's probably like could be Sharp Beak or something. Sludge Wave doing nothing. But Delta's already Toxic. Oh, and a Heal Bell. Okay. So yeah, this thing can actually sit in front of you. Do they have a leftovers user? Oh, Swampert. I think this is probably just gonna happen. It goes for Spadef Drop, Shadow Ball. Doubles a Swampert. Actually, a very good double to get that wish in. No poison either. Though poison wouldn't have been that bad compared to like Burn. Liquidation. Going for the damage. Gets a defense drop. Kind of stinks that it can't hit you with Earthquake. You could really kill it. Get a Toxic off. Yep, this is just standard Weezing stuff. Let's see. Oops. Back to the beginning. Hold on. Catch up. Gotta speed it up. We're already at 30 minutes. Sag, da, da, da. Wish, Heal Bell, wish. So, yeah. So you go for Pain Split, get your HP back, which isn't bad. They flip turn to Zapdos. So it does stink that you had to leave this with like such low HP. And comes in and takes Rocks next time, but it's not taking much from grass moves. So always switching out is a good idea, especially since Garchomp is a sack. He clicks Discharge, and I think you're faster. I think your max speed leftovers. So he's kind of forced to go Tangela and Swords Dance. Such a good Swords Dance there, because they can easily Hurricane you and kill you. But you went for the Swords Dance, which is just a fantastic play here, especially since like you went into this like you're like, okay, well now I need to sack something to get the boy Staraptor in. So I'm just gonna go this. So you've already gotten so much more value out of what you were expecting. Now you have Swords Dance. Now you're Toxic. It's like, no, this thing needs to die now. Dragon Tail, kind of interesting. I don't really agree with Dragon Tail. I think that I understand that you don't really want to lock into Outrage versus Sylveon, but I think Dragon Claw is definitely the way to go, especially since you have negative priority on Dragon Tail. Just food for thought. Do we see Stone Edge here too? Tangela gonna start regenning on you. Another Swords Dance on the Switch. That's crazy. You must really not be Stone Edge then. And then sacks the Sylveon. Facade. Whoa. This is a freaky set. You must have been thinking you were gonna get burned or something. And Facade, yeah. Plus 4 Facade. Done skis. Fuck your team. GG's. You did it. Grass Knot. Yeah, and then just Psychic, Spam, and yeah. So, yeah, I mean, not much to say there either. It was very well played. Delta made some really good switches earlier, like in the mid-game, but I think it's just kind of like came down to like, I don't know, it's hard to say. I just think the Tangela didn't work. I think you needed something else instead of Tangela. That's kind of just how I see it. I think the Tangela just kind of, the thing about Tangela, cancel that. So it's like, it's cool that it's got regen and stuff, but this isn't Tangrowth, you know what I mean? Like, this thing just sits here and saps momentum from you and causes situations like this, when this guy should have been dead like 10 turns ago. Well, not really 10 turns, like 2 turns previously. So, like, that's the bad thing about running, like, low tier Pokemon like this. That's all. Let's go to the next game. I think we're done with Vertigo, right? No, we have one more Vertigo match. So, same lineup, actually. Alright, T-Tar lead. crit Stone Edge. I don't know if this is banded again. You do get burned, which honestly, yeah, I kind of see that coming. I kind of like a Typhlosion switch here. One, or an Espeon switch, honestly, if you expect like toxic spikes. And fighting someone like Mono Poison, like Sky is here, it's kind of tough because all of them can be T-spikes, right? But if they lead Wheezing, chances are they were specifically trying to lead the counter Garchomp, it seems. This is probably Rocky Helmet, honestly, now that I'm seeing Will-O-Wisp, it's probably Rocky Helmet for like Dragon Tail and stuff, just to get passive chip. And probably Pain Split as well. So like staying in the Stone Edge here is kind of risky. Like I said, I don't know if this is banded, but if it is, then you kind of just like you got a good crit, but like realistically what should have happened was he'd be at this HP, like at turn 1, you'd be burned, and you'd basically sack your T-Tar there. But I mean, you got the fortune, it didn't matter because they Pain Split it back. Go Weezing, Nidoqueen. This is very important in this matchup. The way I'm looking at it right now is that this is very important in this matchup. Mostly because it's only poison resist and only fighting resist. But I'm not counting Espeon. Espeon is not fighting resist. Typhlosion is not a Sneasler resist. I guess it does resist both stabs, so like Typhlosion is good against Sneasler. But basically the way I see it is that this thing is very, very important for Sneasler early on in the game. So it's not sweeping you, and you just let it take 70%. And now you have no switch-ins. Like, I know you don't have any switch-ins for Nidoqueen, but you do technically resist. Like, you know, they know you're not. They know you're Levitate. Garchomp's also a good option here, just a double. And Will-O-Wisp doesn't really get you anything, right? You can even sack T-Tar, yeah. Like, you're not taking anything from this. You died to Earth Power here, but they save their Queen. I think they get the sense you're banded. And if they are, then you are not banded. Okay, cool. It might be AV or something then, especially because you only took so much from what's it named, Sludge Wave. Sneasler comes in, does the T-turn shit, and then we're gonna see probably Chilly Reception here, right? Ice Beam. Yeah. Oof. That's tough. So, like, Loking's really good this gen, just because like it has so many options, especially in draft, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about momentum, is that like Sky has no reason to like, this could be Shuckaberry. I don't know if it is, but assuming this is Shuckaberry, I definitely like understand staying in and going for Ice Beam. Like, that's a smart play. And I don't know if Earthquake would have helped you much in this situation if it was Shucka, but I still think I always agree with going like for Earthquake here instead of Spike. Getting the Spike up is nice, but like it's not really going to help you that much just because of what your win con is, and that's probably like at this point Staraptor or Scar Typhlosion or whatever. So they're going to go ahead and kill you. You click Dragon Tail, which is another reason why like Dragon Tail is not that good, is because you move last. So you let the Slowking kill you for no reason instead of clicking Earthquake. I think you always should pack Earthquake on Garchomp, or at least a ground move, because ground type is very good. Going Weezing here is also risky because they just revealed Psyshock, so they can definitely hit you. And you do get a lot from the Pain Split. I imagine you're going to take a lot back here. Yeah. Ugh. I'm sure it's intentional just because you know it's hitting you defensively instead of Spadef. And then the Future Sight, like that's the thing, it's like you've lost your T-Tar, now Future Sight is going to like really hurt here. And I don't know how this game ends. Like going for Will-O-Wisp here isn't really going to help you. But I guess the play here is to sack Weezing, right? Just go try to chip it as much as possible. And now Future Sight's nullified. Now you go Staraptor or Typhlosion. Yeah, I don't know what this is. Infernal Parade, that's double damage. I see the need to burn everything now. Unfortunately, I think that is Scarf Nidoqueen. And they're going to save it. And go this. Reflect. Interesting. Now I'm seeing Reflect, and I'm just kind of thinking, like, you really, really should have, like, just gone Espeon on this guy here. Or even just lead it. Like, I understand, like, Crobat is a good lead. It can scout out U-turn. But now that I'm seeing it screens Espeon, it's like, what are you doing with this thing the whole game? It's not going to do anything. like Reflect is good. I think Reflect is a good turn, but you could have had screens up right here, and you would have bounced back Will-O-Wisp, and this thing would have been burned. But now your T-Tar's burned, and like you lost your best check to like Nidoqueen. I'm assuming it's AV, so it takes nothing from Nidoqueen's stabs. So that's kind of the big misplay here, I think. Otherwise, you didn't play like bad or anything, but like there was just kind of like a little bit of like imagine if you took 12% from that, then they go for Earth Power here, thinking they're gonna kill you. Or that's Scarf actually. It's like Scarf is actually like not even that good into the squat because of Tyranitar. Because if you lock into anything that's not Earth Power, you bet your ass T-Tar's coming in. Especially if it's AV plus 2 defense and sand. Like hell yeah, man. So getting this thing burned immediately is just kind of a misplay. So let's skip ahead. You could have had screens up this whole time too, and you could have gotten one of your sweepers in like Staraptor or Typhlosion, your Breaker Staraptor, like what looks like to be like Infernal Parade, maybe like Spec Set or something, considering it got outsped by Scarf Nidoqueen. I mean, there's no way to tell if it was Scarf or not earlier in the match, unless you like calc the damage, but even then it's kind of tough just because sheer force. And then we see Home Claws, Staraptor. Damn, what happened there? Sucker Punch. Did you just Brave Bird this thing? My man. And then Aftermath, and then Recoil. Yeah, well, Staraptor got a kill. I'm always a fan of that. Yeah, man, it's like, unless this is, it is Scarf. It's Scarf Reflect. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for anything I said before. I still agree with, going that. Do you win from this? I think you just win from this. Oh my god. I hate this game, dude. That's so funny. I'm sure, Sky felt the exact same way I did when they were up 5-1. Basically 5-1. And then, wow, I didn't even realize this how this game ended. That is rough. I think I was watching this live. I totally forgot about this. Well, either way, everything I said still applies. You could have had this in a lot earlier and get that Reflect up. And I think that, like, it kind of instilled false confidence, the Scarf, in Sky here to kind of just, like, not worry about the S-Bound. Like, oh, it's just screens, right? I can just go Gloking. I'll go Skunk Tank. The only thing I could say is, probably could have saved the Skunk Tank for the Espeon in the back in case you thought it was Scarf. Because you did outplay it, so, like, they obviously didn't realize it was Scarf until, a Sucker Punch I understand going for, too. But, like, also, like, you have a 65% Wheezing, like, what are you doing with this? Just go this, make it take recoil damage. And then here you figure out it's Scarf, right? And, like, you could have had Skunk take this turn instead of Wheezing, who just dies. Like, everybody dies. And I think, like, that's kind of the difference in the end game here. And that's all I'm saying is I've been telling everybody in server, like, sometimes it's just one or two things. Like, you can mess up one thing and it sucks. This happens. Like, I mean, good for you, Vertigo. Like, you played it really well. I think you bluffed the Scarf insanely well early, like, in the kind of the late game there when you reflected. And I think it instilled false confidence in Sky. So I think that's really, I think that's pretty good prep. GG's. Next, we have Void versus Spencer. So I have a lot of notes for this match. I don't have anything written. Just like I played this game in mocks with Spencer, so I do know a bit about the matchup here. And in mocks, I just want to say this before we start. I did notice a lot of success with like stuff like bulk up Tauros. It just in general, +1 Tauros was really hard for them to switch in, and you'll see why. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier with Tauros. Is that a lot of people are sleeping on this thing to just be some bulky defensive intimidator. Like, straight up turn 1, like, this is just really good prep. Like, honestly, Void noticed that Spencer doesn't have a Fairy type or a Steel type. So, no Dragon Resist. This is Gen 4 rules, right? Basically. And, so, yeah, Banded Outrage, it's genius. So, the only thing I can say here is that, like, leading Executor is a fine play, I guess. But this is also Spencer's only way to deal with Quagsire, if it's unaware. And that thing can just sit in front of everybody. Like, it's switching to Zapdos, switching to Blastoise, switching to Snorlax. Does not care. It's going to recover everything off, except Executor. So, like, even if you didn't expect Banded Outrage, you see here, so turn 1, they go for Outrage, which is genius. So even if you don't expect Banded, see, I don't think this needs to be Banded to kill. So either way, if it wasn't Banded, it's still locked in. So like here, you go Blastoise, and in this case, the best thing to do would be to just double out turn 1 and go to the defensive Blastoise, because we see that it takes, this is what reveals it's Banded, by the way, when it took 50% from that. And then here, going for Toxic is just, it's kind of like, you need damage now. You don't have time to like sit here and Toxic in front of it and just just whittle it down. And it's safe to assume that, I don't know if you thought they were going to switch. I don't know if you know if they were locked in with Outrage, but when you click Outrage, you're locked in. And so you get confused. So, like, you need damage. You need damage. And you know you'll live 1 because you're defensive. The only other thing I could say is you can always go Rhyperior here too. Like, hard on the Outrage turn 1. Like, go hard Outrage here, because even if you're not expecting Outrage, chances are they're clicking either a fighting move or a fire move. So, Blastoise if you're afraid of fighting, I guess, and Rhyperior if you want to get a kill. So that's just how I see it. And then like this alone, this one mistake, turn 1, kind of warps the matchup entirely around like, how do I beat Quagsire? And you'll see how that's relevant here in a little bit. So Blastoise comes in, right, misses the Toxic, which is, it is unlucky, but Toxic was kind of like a bad play anyway. Once again, I'm not trying to be mean, that's just kind of how I see it. And even then, going for the Toxic a second time, you do deal with this, but Void has no incentive to leave this in anymore. You could have killed this with 2 Scalds or whatever, and it would have been done. And then you'd be back up 5-5, but instead now it's Toxic, and it's going to take 6% here, and now they're going to switch out. Breloom comes in. You see, like that, like 2 turns ago is when you wanted to start Scalding, and Void is very, very lucky that they didn't get burned there. I would have gone something more defensive first, like Quagsire or Jirachi, and then maybe pivoted into Breloom. Mostly because anything can kill it at 10%, so that's a little risky. You see Bullet Seed. This is probably loaded dice. You do see 5 hits. It could be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it must be loaded dice. And that's also, so let me go back, because like at this point, I don't know how worth it is to save Blastoise. It's kind of best to just see what if they're like banded or something. You don't know if their dice are banded or not. So if you like see that, then like I still think Zapdos is like a really good switch in for this, like permanently. Like you wall both of its stabs, and you know like the Snorlax is defensive here, but it's defensive for like Weavile. It's not defensive for this. Like it's not gonna help versus this. So like this is like just kind of where it all fell apart, is like within the first 5 turns here. So like first we see the sack, then we see the Blastoise click Toxic instead of Scald, and then it finally clicks Scald, doesn't get a burn, unlucky, right? I guess if you want to say that. And then like imagine if they like click close combat there, your Snorlax would be dead too, and then you would have an 18% Blastoise to go with it. So I mean even then here, then you're like, oh shit, that's gonna kill me. So now you save that again. It's like you gotta sack something. Like at this point, go Blastoise, sack it and get offensive momentum with Zapdos. Go Zapdos, go Zapdos, go Zapdos. And now you go Zapdos, I'm sure. No, you go Psychic Fangs because you are faster. That's fair. That's fair. And I don't know why you got rid of Knockoff, man. I told you. I'm sure you know this. And like, I'm not trying to be mean, man, but like, dude, you needed Knockoff here very badly for Azelf, and you needed Knockoff for Jirachi, and you'll see why, because you know, like your bulk up, like you're not gonna care about Headbutt or whatever. And this is Ancient Power's weird, but like, you know, with bulk up or like Calm Mind or something, like you would have, like this is just cheese, right? And eventually they do get it, but like Roost wouldn't have helped you. You could kill it with 1 bulk up. But now you have Psychic Fangs and Leaf Blade. Like that isn't, Psychic Grass is not good coverage for this team. That hits nothing. That's why you need a Knockoff. That's all it is. If the Knockoff made this way different, And I can't tell if it was Culber or not. So that's, the spit F drops, whatever, to Mach Punch. That's that. Balloon's back out. And now Zapdos comes out. It should have been out 10 turns ago. Like, legitimately 10 turns ago, this thing should have been out. No, like, this should have been out like 15 turns ago. And these guys would have full HP. But now we're turn 22. Zapdos finally comes out. And they have a full health Quagsire. You should have forced the Quagsire in earlier. Luckily, they stay in and take a Hurricane. And then I believe you get pretty unlucky versus this thing. So no confusions at all. Get Toxic and then recover stalled. You missed that one. Hit that one, no confusion. Missed that one. Hit that one, no confusion. Then you Toxic it. So the only thing I could say here is, like, in this position, you're kind of like, you can still win. But Snorlax is chipped, so I don't know how you deal with your boy Weavile. I guess Rhyperior can live, but then his Elf sweeps. Like, that's... It's unfortunate for you in this situation, especially now that you're Toxic on Zapdos. Which is, pretty good. I will say I did a poor job of, I think, prepping the Tauros. I thought Bulk Up was the best set available, though as we can see, Bandit has been putting in a lot of work. Another Hurricane miss, unfortunate. You do need these confusions to win. Another Hurricane miss, and no confusion, right? And then all I wanted to say, I wanted to say on one of these turns you could have saved this. You could have gone like your boy Blastoise on this turn, and if you die, you die. But like, why are you holding on to this? Like, this isn't gonna do anything for you. There's no reason to hold on to this anymore. And this shit should have gone a while ago. And if you use it, if you do happen to have it on this turn, you can always go this and try to Toxic earlier instead of sacking it after sacking your Zapdos. Which, to be honest, like, Zapdos killed Breloom, so I don't know how important it was for this of the matchup. But Rhyperior comes in, I think just Earthquakes, gets Toxicked. Outrage does a lot, and the Intimidate matters. Like, that's crazy. That's like how small a difference can be. The Intimidate really did matter. Because if there was no Intimidate, like, this thing would have been packed. And his Elf probably would have, I don't know. I'm capping. Outrage did a lot of damage. It's going to kill. Picks up a kill, and that will definitely kill Snorlax in the back. So, it really comes down to those two things. It's just the turn 1 misplay. Once again, like, this is, like, who the hell would expect Outrage Tauros? Like, this is a really good prep. But it's also, like, just in general, if you expect a strong fire move, you have switch-ins for that. And that would also technically cover the Outrage. As you can see, Rhyperior was 3-hit KO'd by it, so you could have switched into it, no Intimidate, and killed it for free with Earthquake if you saw Outrage here, but instead you went Blastoise. Which, once again, I don't know if you knew that, like, Outrage locked in or not. That's just kind of how it goes. But even then, you should be attacking here. You should be getting the free damage while you can. And that ended up mattering, because that's what they won with. And if they didn't have that, they would have had to use their Weavile against Rocky Helmet Snorlax, which could have chipped it down pretty hard for Rhyperior. Anyway, that's about it. Got another Void match here versus Rain. Is this the, I can't tell if this is the, oh wait, what is this? People would be sending me replays from last season, I think. Because this one has Iron Treads. I'll come back to this one. I kind of was hoping to stick it mostly this season. But actually, you know what? Since we're doing last season, I'll start with Flameburst from earlier. So we see it's got Iron Treads, Melodic, Gliscor, Absol, Horse. So I guess, Iron Treads isn't a draft. I'm stupid. Never mind. Sorry. We'll go back to the Flameburst. So this is Flameburst number 2. Slaking is a guy. He's about to click funny move. And body press, yeah, paralyze. So, again, like, it's hard to say, like, if there's anything you did wrong here. I think Body Slam's a great play. I don't know why I saw the Iron Treads and just assumed it wasn't this season. Apologies for that. I'll be sure to make sure that I'll bookmark both Flameburst games. Anyway, the para is unfortunate. Easily because it could have been Giga Impact too, which, you know, I don't know how much the paralysis will matter here. We'll see. So body press, great play there. Definitely should have gone like something else. You switch out to Crobat. This is a good switch. I mean, even if you do Spore, the only thing I can say is Safety Goggles would be great in this matchup, especially because it's Sand. Sand D-Knight, I don't agree with that combo, and it kind of just nullifies the Multiscale, though it is something you can work around. Rotom comes in on this, probably trying to burn it or something, I don't know if it knew it was I'm full shit. I missed it, hold on, I gotta go back. Sack Iron Treads, should have gone Melodic. They're not clicking an electric move in front of you. And then from there, you can pivot back into Treads if you want. But I guess Treads is also a sack if you want. I just think you could have waited. It would have been still really good for Clodsire. Now they Volt Switch. Like, you should have gone Melodic the turn before. That's what it comes down to here. Is that here you get Rocked Up. Really good. Like, you've played this perfectly so far. Except getting paralyzed. That you can't help. But then you sack the Treads instead of going Melodic on the obvious water move. It can only run one water move. And then you go Melodic and then get Volt Switched on. And then they go into their Breloom, I think, right? Or Clodsire. Could have gone Breloom there. If you're defensive, then they're faster. Good Dragon Tail. Actually, good Dragon Tail. But Slaking comes back in. And that is Giga Impact, as I mentioned before, which is kind of unfortunate. You do recognize that you have a free chance at damage here. But it is worth noting that this is Scarfed. Mostly because if you see it recharge, whatever it does, if it does it before you, if it switches... This also applies to switching, so if you were to both switch out on that turn, it couldn't because it was recharging, but let's just say it wasn't, it switched. If they switch first, they're faster than you. Whoever's faster will always switch first. That's why it's the same way it works with weather. Whoever's slower will always get the weather up because the faster Pokemon says their weather first. So that's how everything's determined in the game is based on speed, including abilities and moves and stuff like that. So if you see that they're recharging before you attack, it's an 100% giveaway that it's Scarfed. And, you know, even then you don't have a switch in, really. But I guess, you know, like, Gliscor could have come in and then killed. It would have tanked, and then it would have killed. So that's kind of the other way to play around that. Good use of Slaking there. And then Breloom is just a big problem now. Swords Dance, huge Swords Dance on the Switch. Spore also would have been good. I'm assuming they clicked Mach Punch to see if you were Dwayne Beat. Which I don't think you are. Bullet Seed would have been better to click there, which I'm assuming is its last move. Because everybody's using the loaded dice now. Yeah, you could have just clicked that, but I understand wanting to get the chip off in case it was dual wing beat. Which, I mean, I don't even know if it gets or not. And this is the bad thing about having, like, if Crobat was Safety Goggles here, you wouldn't be asleep, and this thing would be Dunzo. But now it boosts in front of you, even though you quad resist both its moves. That's why Safety Goggles would have been the perfect counter for Breloom, but this is the difference between sleep and not having to sleep, you know what I mean? And you probably should have roosted there, I don't know if you have it or not. You could be, like, choice locked, honestly, I have no idea. But at this point, it's just, you can't really salvage it, just because Dragonite's full health in the back. Probably gonna go Clodsire, yeah. Gets Toxic. Unfortunate. Instant, I missed that, actually, oh, let's go back. Oh, hold on. Let's just see the series of events. Of course, it's Absol the one who's hacking everybody, right? Okay, so you get the Lucky Freeze, which could have actually helped a lot. And then they instantly thaw and Toxic you, which is Sag. Sorry, bro. And then you get lucky again. You say fuck this game, and then you freeze him again. And let's see if they instant thaw again. Bro. This league is fucked. Anyway, D-Knight comes in and wins. Super Fang could have been good on here. Once again, yeah, it just switches with E-Speed at this point. That's just a game. But, kind of funny end game there. It's like I said, once your ship was chipped, I don't think it was going to save you from E-Speed. Like, even at, like, without boost. I say stall for win, I don't really agree with that. But, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, good game. All I can say, once once again, is that it's just that first play that, like, it comes down a little bit to the prep. First of all, like, I think safety goggles, like, that's why Breloom usually isn't, like, super valued, even though it does have Spore in draft and, like, Technician and good, like, moves and stuff like that, but you can prep for it pretty easily by running safety goggles on a resist. Specifically, Crobat doesn't even really need any bulk to check it naturally. It pretty much forces it to run, what's it called? It forces it to run, like, Rock Tomb or something to hit you. And even then, you're always going to kill with Brave Bird, so chances are it's just going to switch out. So, having safety goggles be a sleep switch in is huge. Or even Flame Orb. You have Flame Orb too, that's a sleep switch in. But this comes back again, it's like, I don't really think Flame Orb is the way every week. Like, I hope you don't run this every week, because that 6% chip is adding up in every single one of these games. It's like, imagine if you left the battle with, I don't know, 65% HP instead of 50%. Perhaps you could have taken this Giga Impact later on. Who knows? And then Breloom. Yeah, flying move. I don't know if it gets a flying move, but it would have been a good way to deal with it if that was the case. And then Crobat. And yeah, at this point, like, the moment you took that, like, if you weren't asleep, you wouldn't have taken this much damage, and you wouldn't have lost the E-speed. That's all I'm saying. It's as simple as that. You didn't really misplay or anything, except at the beginning with treads. And I guess the low kick to not realizing it was scarfed, but now you know. I mean, it's like, and a funny end too. The ending was funny. But yeah, like, this interaction specifically, if you are like, if they're recharging, right, and you go this, and you're like, I have low kick, right? If you see them recharge, they're faster. If you see them recharge, you attack them faster. And that applies for any other interaction in the game. We'll move on. Sorry for skipping your game earlier. We'll go back to the other Iron Treads game, which is Void's match with Rain. And I don't know if this is the reverse sweep or not. Spoilers. See Spore again. Good sword stance. Pelipper can't really switch into that anymore. Like loaded dice really changed the game, especially for shit like this. Like, people using Icicle Spear, it really changed the game, because Pelipper usually wouldn't have taken anything from Seed Bomb and would have killed with Hurricane. But since that was a good sword stance, like, Spore is so good, right? Because then you sword stance for free on whatever switches in. Like, there is no switches, there is no fighting type switching, except Pelipper, which dies Volt Seed Clear. So, good sword stance. And then you get the kill, pays off. And then, here's the problem. Is, you could have saved this. You don't really have a switch in, though, like, wait, is this what I think it is? No, that's the specs, though, it's doing a lot. There's better things to go. You almost, like, risk getting hit with confusion. And Quagsire, I don't know if this is SPDF or not, but if, it's hard to say, because, like, obviously Hurricane would have killed anyway, so you would have had no way of knowing if it was choice locked or not. So in that case, I guess this is the good, like, mid-ground. But I still think Rachi probably could have been worth it, just because it might live a water move if it isn't, because it's only going to die like Choice Specs Hydro Mode, right? And if it was Choice Specs, it wouldn't be able to switch, which it was, I think. You go ahead and get the Revenge Kill with Liquidation. You are Water Absorb, which, you know, if they did, if they weren't Specs, that would have been around this with a Kingdra. Drain Punch, I have kind of a gripe with this set. I think Earthquake is fine as a physical move, and the rest should be like utility, like Toxic or Scald, or like Scald is always going to be better than whatever. And you don't really have a good switch in for this, but something like Air Balloon Jirachi would have been a good way of dealing with this. It's going to take a lot from U-turn, but generally offensive seems very good versus your team. Especially Quagsire. You gotta be careful with the grass moves versus Quagsire. They will one-shot pretty much every time. You get the Weavile in. Yachi Berry won't help here. You know, I think it's like, it's an offensive one. No Rocky Helmet. You gotta land Triple Axle. Yeah, Ice Shard wasn't gonna do it. I think the Rain ended up, this isn't the reverse sweep. This is something else. And knockoff. I don't know why they don't just attack you there. Like surf boosted by rain just kills there. I know you get a lot of flack for clicking that, but I understand going for it just because knockoff wasn't gonna kill either. And if they were rest, then like there's nothing you can do here. The only thing you can do is, and I understand why you clicked Ice Shard here, by the way. So I totally get it. You didn't want to miss triple axle. So that's totally valid, man. But the thing is that you have to go for those risks. Like it is risky. You can miss, but like you have to go for it. And if they don't get this rain up, they take one extra turn to set up rain on Manaphy, and that gets you the chip that you need to kill it. So that's really kind of just the way I see it. Letting him get rain up here, which, you know, is hard to predict. Like, there's no way you would have been able to tell that this was going to be Rain Dance. But, yeah, it just goes to show that, like you should go for those risky plays, because you kind of have to, especially when you're in a position like that, where you're down. Like, you don't really have room to make risky plays, like assuming Ice Shards kills. Or at least calc it, you know, if you're going to go for something like that, just to make sure. But from there, you know, Manaphy's going to do Manaphy things. It's not going to die, but Rain's gone. Mystical Power. It does miss, which is very unlucky, because he could have used that +1. Even though Toad Scroll's not going to die to +1 to anything. You do live knockoff. It doesn't do anything. Citrus Berry, losing that sucks. Yeah, so you don't kill it +1. So you did need to hit that first one, so that is a little unlucky. Not even a misplay, just kind of like unfortunate, because he did get a good sub there. And I don't know if this is Choice Lock Jirachi, but yeah, Treads is going to sit here forever. Oh, wow. And you Psychic it. So, wow, okay, let me go back to that. So the Spinach off, it's hard to say if it's lucky or not. It is a 20% chance because of Serene Grace. So it's not that lucky. I see the luckier part of this was not waking up after 3 turns. And then you killing with that. That Spore ended up mattering a lot. And Manaphy comes in, and I think you just win, right? No. You should have been clicking Psychic first. Spit F drop again. Yeah, very risky. Very scary. I will just say one more thing about this match. I think that Doom Desire is kind of unneeded. I'm assuming you thought they were like Rain Dance last move or something. Chances are it was probably just Ice Beam. In that situation, you just need to attack. You can't, like, mess around like this. Like, you know Doom Desire's not going to do that much. It's a water type, right? Your best bet is to just keep clicking Psychic. You got a lucky Spit F drop, too, because if you didn't get that Spit F drop, you would have lost. It would have been a roll to kill Psychic or something. And if you hit Doom Desire after, it doesn't matter because you already lost. So, like, you did get a little lucky here at the end, because you should have clicked Psychic this turn instead of Doom Desire, and you got the lucky Spit F drop on the second one, which is what enabled you to kill it the next turn. And this is like Modest or something too, unless you just won 3 speed ties as well. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it, and I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. We're back. Next we have our next game versus Void. This was the 3rd Void game, just because of the Spencer match, so we have 3 in a row with Void. Versus Lhoopy. Oh, also, just like, one more time in conclusion, just play your in-game a little less risky. That's all. Good game. You played well. Let's see here. So, Tauros looks really good in this matchup outside of, like, Quillfish. Good taunt, first of all. But, once again, you miss your Mystical Power, which is huge. Why does Scald do so much here? Scald picks up the Mystical Power miss does suck, but also you weren't doing much anyway. This seems like it was offensive, but even then you weren't going to do much. You may have killed with T-Bolt after, which I'm sure was the point, but overall, like, super risky, especially when they can just go T-Tar and take nothing. So, I'd say, like, you had a really good turn 1. Best bet is to U-turn if you have it, or just switch to something else, like Quagsire. I don't know if it's Water Absorb or not. Because even though you missed, like, it's still risky going for that. And the +1 would have killed, so it would have paid off, but even then, once again, they can just go T-Tar. They don't have to sack it. You do get the Paralysis, which is nice too. But it didn't really matter because of Electric. Volt Switch. Is this Specs? Looks like it. So, once again, in this position, they have all the momentum here. This is a sack, or it can come in later versus Tododas. Or, you know, it can even be a quad resist, a Weavile, and then Aqua Jet after. I think you should just click Grass Move here. Honestly, I think that's all it comes down to. It's shown that it's offensive. You just click Grass Move, but you get greedy for momentum, and then now your Quagsire takes 100% coming into the Nidoking, and then dies. And now you're down 4-6, and now you're clicking Chloroblast, which is what you should have clicked like 2 turns ago. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it really kind of comes down to. I think you're just trying to, like... I think you're just overthinking it, honestly. Like there are plans, like, +1 does kill T-Bolt with T-Bolt, yes, but, like, you have to get that +1. You can't safely get it in front of it every time, because it's clearly going to miss. And then also, like, clicking Volt Switch here is just, it's kind of greedy. You're just greedy for momentum, and that's, like, not always a bad thing. But early in the game, when you're already on the back foot, like, Nidoking every time. I go Nidoking every time. And they did too. And, yeah, it killed your Quagsire, basically. Anyway, we'll skip that. And we can see that Specs Chloroblast would have killed him. So that would have been a really good play on your part if you click Chloroblast. Or even Energy Ball. They Volt Switch, they reveal they're Scarfed. And then they go T-Tar. You unfortunately don't get the kill, but I do agree with clicking Chloroblast there, actually. But you could have clicked Chloroblast with your Quagsire and his Elf Alive. You know what I mean? Like, if you were going to Chloroblast and kill yourself anyway, then, like, you could have saved your Azelf, you could have saved your Quagsire. And it doesn't even kill, which is unfortunate, but whatever comes out next is going to kill, which is Breloom. Altaria is kind of a free switch in. That is a risky Spore. Well, not really, because you are faster. Yeah, never mind, don't listen to me there. But, like, you know what I mean? If they, like... They're like, I guess... No, Spore's fine there. Because, like, worst case scenario, like, they stay in, right? And you just kill them next turn, but then best case scenario, they go sleep. But it also has Natural Cure, so I think, like, that is your best option. But also, like, what do you do after this? Do you just go hard Weavile? Swords Dance? No, I think here you go hard Weavile. Let it burn its sleep turn. It's not Cloud9. It would have revealed if it was Cloud9 because of the sand. So I think the play here is to do that, because Mach Punch isn't going to do anything. Another Swords Dance. This is just greed. Like, this isn't going to help you break this. Because this thing's probably specifically here for you. They sacked their Rotom, which is weird. You get +6. God damn, that'll do it. That's for sure. This is such a weird play here, because, like, you kind of lucked out here. This thing should be dead to Brave Bird by turn 10, and somehow, 6 turns later, you're still alive. Not 6. 4 turns later, you're still alive. Now you're at +6, and it was faster than you the whole time, and killed the Dracomir. Like, you lucked out pretty hard there. Like, you should be down, like, super hard right now. But the only thing I can say is that, like, well, this didn't work out for you. On this is a really good sleep, and then you kind of just throw it away by not knowing. Like, even if they double, like, what's the worst that'll happen, right? You have your Weavile out versus all their chip stuff. So yeah, instead of going for Swords Dance here, I think you go Weavile. But it did work out. You got the Rotom, you die, and then Weavile comes out. And now you don't kill this because the thing's directing Helmet. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just a wrap from here. Maybe you pull some slick stuff. Crit Aqua Jet is also unlucky. Wild Charge. Now he gets more Aqua Jet chip, which is unlucky. And that's about it. Yeah, Outrage. I mean, yeah, that's really all it comes down to, is you should play to your Weavile a little more aggressively at the end. And it did work out because you did, like, you could have won this, like, a while. I don't know why they sacked this to the Tauros. Kind of weird. And it also comes down to, like, Lhoopy, like, you know, if... So, like, I don't even, like, disagree with, like, Aqua Jetting for damage. But what you could do is, I guess you could have, like, sacked T-Tar instead of Sand to get the chip damage here. or even like the T-Spike is good, but like I don't know, the T-Spike this late in the game isn't really worth, especially when they're at 51%. Okay, this is the big play here. So now that I've narrowed it down, so right, so you save Altaria, and it should have been a wrap from here. I even sounded like it was a wrap, because this doesn't beat that, right? It takes nothing. So all you have to do is attack here. And I've made this mistake before, so I don't want you to think that I'm immune to criticism or anything like that. I've made this mistake before. Sometimes you just overthink it, and you're like, wow, I don't like the switching, I want to get a T-Spike up. Okay, but like also, water type move has no switching. You can just click water type move for free, right? Especially since like they're not going to stay in and click Rocky Helmet again and kill themselves. That's their win con. So luckily the end game worked out for you, but there was like a lot of points where you should have like kind of just got folded by this team, and it ended up working out. Like the Tyranitar should have come out a lot earlier. This thing got chipped. Once this got chipped, it was over. Like we've out won. There's so many things you can go into that are like low. I mean, this isn't like just Lhoopy either. Like this happened in a couple other matches too, where like you have something that's 31% paralyzed. What is this doing, other than just giving Weavile another kill? And then Yachi Berry was like good in theory, but Triple Axel does beat Yachi Berry unfortunately. And yeah, Weavile kind of brings that back. So well played. You just got to be careful in your like early games. We go back here, so taunt really good, right? And then you try to set up immediately when you have so much better like switch-ins to like Scald and stuff. So this is just unfortunate because, like I said, you would have killed that +1, which it would have worked, and that's fine. But here you click Grass Move, and you lost your Clodsire because of it. And once you lost the Clodsire, it's like, and then you had to, and if you wanted damage, you click Chloroblast again. You sack your Electro for damage. It doesn't kill T-Tar, but it doesn't matter too much, right? Now you're down 3-5, like kind of like 3-4, really. And you could have won with like Weavile, like right here after the Spore. Like you just go Weavile and you win, straight up. Except like Scarf Rotom, I guess. But even then, like Tauros deals with that. You know what I mean? So just something to think about. Luckily, you won the game. Going to the next one, we got some more Arceus gameplay. And we are currently at 1 hour and 20 minutes recording. This is getting tougher as it goes on longer. We got Sun versus this is Fridge, right? Just looks like, honestly, it just looks like Gen 4 balance. It's so cool. It's such a cool team. And then we got Classic Sun with Sandy Shocks. And Slowbro's not really like Classic Sun or anything, but it works here. You see Knockoff. This is probably Fur Coat defensive, dedicated to like beating probably this, or at least switching in. Focus Sash with rocks. Slowbro deals with Mamoswine pretty well, especially if it's Culver. It is revealed to be leftovers, but Focus Sash sets don't usually run Knockoff unless it's like specifically good for the matchup. And then, oh, I remember this match. Okay, so this should have been a wrap right here. This should have been like legit a wrap, but I think Straw Hat was not Guts here. They were Moxie. So that must have been a mistake, or I don't know if that was intentional. Just assuming Rock Slide would kill, and then you could just get attack boosts. But Guts, Flame Orb would have OHKO'd with Rock Slide here. And instead, we were all like, wait, what? Yeah, see, even like, none of us realized. It was like, everybody was just like, whoa, like this guy's so tanky. But no, it was just burned, and it didn't have Guts, so it should have been like big trouble for Fridge there, because that was a really good Trailblaze. So it's just kind of unfortunate, but that's why you gotta be careful. You gotta like check your prep, make sure that everything's right. Crit Scald, burn, very lucky. Doesn't add up to a lot, but the burn is nice. I think Teleport here, good. It's also really good for avoiding Analytic. Damage boosted, switching into that. You don't want your Venusaur taking a lot. And then it is revealed to be Scarfed. Or, no, it's Life Orb. This is not Scarf. interesting. I'm not really sure about the Sandy Shocks there. I don't know if that's like a misplay or something, because I'm trying to think of like the... Like, did you just go Alola Persian every time? So you go Sun, and then you go Venusaur, they click Hydro Pump. Yeah, I think you could have done this without, like, you know, sacking your Sandy Shocks. You could have just teleported the Torkoal here, and then go Venusaur, right? But instead, Shocks, I don't know if this was Scarf and it just, like, undersped or something. It's hard to say. Anyway, so yeah, Venusaur comes in, kills a Giga Drain, but, like, oh, just thought I was faster. Okay, I see. So I'm not trying to, like, once again, I've reiterated this already a bunch, but I'm not trying to roast anybody. I'm not trying to, like, make fun of anybody. It's just that it's purely for, like, an outside perspective. And, you know, I'm, like, someone who makes mistakes in these games as well, so I don't want to feel like I'm on a pedestal or anything. It's just that I do see these things, and I kind of wonder, it's like, you know, alright, you must be pretty frazzled or something in this situation to kind of just, you see Life Orb, you know you're not Scarf, like, I mean, like, all you have to do is hover. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so Venusaur comes in, Giga Drain kills. Giga Drain does a lot to Empoleon, but it's revealed to be Spadef, which makes sense. And Rain Dance, turn off Sun. Very smart prep. I like that. I like that a lot. That's probably Ice Beam, which does a lot, and then Freeze. So the Freeze is pretty lucky here, I'm not going to lie. But also, like, this thing was toast after that damage anyway. So even if it didn't freeze, like, that was toast. I think Rain Dance is very smart prep here. I really like this. This thing is why you need Earth Power, honestly. It could be... Oof. Yeah, that freeze is brutal. Because that means you can't knock off the lefties. You get Sun Up. They go for Surf, which is a great Surf. Just because, like, you're going to kill anyway, right? So, sack Sun. All you have to do is click Rain Dance here again, right? And then it's... The Venusaur is less of a threat to the Moltres. Crit Giga Drain, actually kind of huge. But you're not speed boosted anymore, which means Mamo and Moltres, I guess, can deal with it. This is offensive Moltres. Flamethrower, gonna beat Fur Coat. And Slowbro is kind of chipped, so like you just U-turn out. You Hurricane too, right? That's smart. And Confusion, also unlucky, but the only thing you would have done is let the Tangrowth in. So I don't know how much that Confusion mattered. And then this is probably just, yeah. Oh, this is Reckless. This is Reckless Giga Drain, and you're faster, so you just Reckless Unburden. Not Unburden, it's Reckless Double Edge. Probably Banded or something. Yeah, no, I mean, that was well played. It should have been a wrap. The biggest mistake was the prep thing, dude. Like, you didn't even play this terrible. It's just that, like, this was an unfortunate oversight with the Moxie. And from there, it looks like it kind of melted your brain. It just rattled you a little bit, and you kind of just made another bad switch over here. And that was that. Like, honestly, that was it. Especially because they had the full health counterplay in the back for this. That's why they sacked their Starmie so willingly to go Empoleon to turn off the thing. So, very well played from Fridge, honestly. Just played around the sun very well. That's why I'm not usually a fan of drafting, like, weather in like, Draft League. Because, like, it's very, it can be one-dimensional. It's not always one-dimensional, but, like, the win cons usually are. And they aren't the hardest things to shut down if you have the right Pokemon. In this case, Empoleon, Moltres form a very, very good defensive core for, what's his name? Venusaur. The only risky thing here is, you could, like, not kill with you could not kill with Flamethrower there, and die to, Rain Weather Ball. But at this point it doesn't matter because everything is dead, right? So, oh well. Yeah, that was about it. Next game. Okay, we have one more after this. So, A4X versus StrawhatZelda. Please no freezes or crits. blessed by Bebsi. Rocks go up. Piloswine's the goat, by the way. We just appreciate this guy. Rodrigo comes in. Arcanine, Intimidate. Already on deck for the Heracross. The only thing is about running... That is Scarfed? Scarf Moxie, actually. Flare Blitz doing a lot, even though it's Fur Coat. Still take the extra damage from Flare Blitz. Good parting shot. Really good pivot with the parting shot. Torkoal going to come in, but it is going to take an Earthquake, which is kind of huge, and that's a big crit. It would have done a lot, but that was a huge crit. And Earthquake does a lot to Venusaur, too. Should have possibly... No, the Swallow, no. Like, you have a full house Slowbro in the back, man. Like, why? What? Letting this get chip on everybody. Arcanine's a good switch in. It's Boots. Good Stone Edge. I'm assuming this is Scarfed now. Morning Sun. That's a... Can we talk about that play, actually? So, when you don't get burned here on turn 4, they're automatically assuming you're Scarf Moxie or Choice Band Moxie, right? Because why would you be Swarm, first of all? Second of all, Trailblaze is not very good on... I guess it hits Azumarill, but it's going to kill you with Aqua Jet anyway, so the speed boost doesn't really help. Just click your strongest move, like Facade or something. So once it sees it's not burned, they're instantly going to assume that this is choice locked. Especially since you switch out here. It's pretty obvious, I must say. So that's a free Flare Blitz, and I think A4 it makes a really good... I don't know if it's A4 or A4X, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say A4X. So, like, they do a really good job of recognizing the free turn to click Flare Blitz. And, like, nothing switches into that. Like, even if you want to go Slowbro, you always have a switch in for Slowbro in Latios. Except Toxic, I guess. Right? But, so the parting shot, you know, this is good pivoting. But once again, like, Slowbro is always going to be a free switch in on this guy. Like, you don't need to be like, the crit sucks, but you don't need to be risking it just to get Rocks up. Like, you can get Rocks up in front of Arcanine. And then Earthquake here, yeah, like, still Slowbro, still a much better switch in, because you're going to threaten it with a water move. And then they Icicle Crash, because, like, Icicle Crash will kill Venusaur. And at this point, they've already said goodbye to this thing. They're like, you know what? I don't know if they called out your over-prediction here, or if they just wanted to sack this because they got Rocks up. But they make the Icicle Crash play, which does kill you. And then they kill your Swallow, which can't take a hit. Rob the luck. I don't know. This is just really good play, honestly. And then, you know, this thing's in the back. This is a good Stone Edge, but, like, you know, you already lost, like, a lot. Like, Torkoal dies to Rocks. This thing's under half. This thing's just Morning Sun for the first time. Piloswine's still, like, really healthy. Good T-Wave block, dude. This is actually just, like, really good play from A4X. Like, reading this possible T-Wave, knockoff isn't going to do anything. If they parting shot, oh well, you're already up 1. And then T-Wave, this is just really good pivoting from A4X. Now the Slowbro comes in. It should have been in here. Should have been in here 6 turns ago. But now he's in here. EQ. Yeah, so you do nothing. And it's like, man, with Regenerate, you gotta figure this thing should have been in here a long time ago. Yawn. It would have been so disruptive. Now Torkoal's dead. Swallow's dead. Venusaur's basically dead, because you can't get Sun up anymore. Night Slash. I mean, just Dark move. This is gonna take nothing. Oh, U-turn. That was a good U-turn too. Mostly, I mean, like, Slowbro. Like, the thing about Regenerator is kind of obvious when they're gonna switch. I think the better play here would have been, like, to sack Torkoal. I think. And then maybe go to Persian and Parting Shot, which I'm assuming was the motive here. Mostly because, one, you block U-turn here because you die to rocks, and two, you scout out if it's a choice set or not, right? Because they're not going to stay in. I think you assumed it was choice at this point just because of the damage it did to Slowbro. But no, I think it's just really strong. So it makes sense to switch here, but I think the switch here is to go to Torkoal, right? So we won't dwell too hard on that. It looks like Latios is just going to kind of sweep up from here. I think this is the agility Latios set. Rocky Helmet, let's take that chip, it doesn't matter anymore. Latios, yeah, I think they just agility and win. They don't need to, actually, they can just click Shadow Ball and Psychic. That dies to rocks. Oh, it's boots, never mind, I'm stupid. But they still agility. I assumed this died to rocks, that was my bad. But yeah, no, the agility is what seals it. Anyway, yeah, I mean, that's Energy Ball for the Slowbro. Stronger than Shadow Ball. I said Shadow Ball, that's smart. Usually Shadow Ball's like, yeah, I guess Shadow Ball's bad here because of Persian and Swallow. I don't know. It was a 6-0, but like, you know, it didn't have to be. I don't really like Scarf here. This feels like, to me, this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this Scarf Heracross feels like a very last-second switch to me, especially with the moveset. Like, here you could have clicked Close Combat versus the Arcanine. Like, I don't really get the Trailblaze, honestly, unless you thought Azumarill was coming in. But the Close Combat's still better in that case. And I think that one play right there kind of just set you back so far. Because this thing took Major Chip. And then you didn't go Slowbro here. You should have just Parting Shot and gone Slowbro immediately. But you wanted to get Sun Up. And then you double... And then you take the Earthquake, which, once again, you probably weren't expecting to take that much. This is why you went for Rocks. But that's like Pokemon. Like, you get crit, and that stuff happens. And you have to account for that if you're going to make plays like staying in on a Ground-type Pokemon that could hurt you really hard with Earthquake to get Rocks up. You know what I mean? So... there's a lot of opportunities to go Slowbro there. I do agree. I can't say I wouldn't have done the same. So you just get up rocks. But it ended up kind of screwing you over. Like, just this Piloswine put in so much work. And then it got the necessary chip on Venusaur to kill it with Ice Shard, I think. And then, once again, I don't know if this was a read or not, but like this series of turns broke the whole team open for Latios. And then at this point, it's just like getting the necessary chip, right, for Latios. Probably enough chip to at least have this die AV to Latios in 2 hits. And then once again here, sorry, so like what I said before wasn't really relevant, but I still think Torkoal Sack is probably the way to go here. Even though you don't die to rocks, you don't stop the U-turn, but you get Sun Up, and if you die, then like you still get that same momentum, except now Sun's up, so you have the option of going Venusaur and nuking something. But then you die to U-turn, which pretty much cemented it. Mostly because like the Scarf Heracross isn't really going to do anything. It's not even Scarf. What am I talking about? Is this Choice Bandit or something? I'm sorry, once again, I'm like an hour and a half in the recording, so I'm pretty tired. I can't tell what the Heracross is from this build, but regardless, like, Guts Facade would have been so much better, I think, for the Arcanine. And then, yeah, at this point, yeah, it's just Latios Sweep. Anyway, but you didn't even really play that bad, honestly. It's just like, like I said, that series of turns, like, between turn 4 and turn 9, like, I'm sure you know that, so I don't want to, like, act like you don't. Like, it's been a while since this match happened, so I'm sure you've had a lot of time to reflect on it. I just, that's the way I see it from the outside perspective that is watching these replays. So, just, you know, take it on the shoulder, learn from it, and, you know, like, really good prep from A4X. That's really all it comes down to. Like, they perfectly countered your Sun team. Especially Morning Sun. Like, Morning Sun is just really good, because then you get, like, the super healing of the Sun. And Azumarill, just in general, is a really good speed check. To like a super chipped Venusaur, you can always Aqua Jet. And in case Heracross gets crazy with the speed boost too. We're gonna move to the last replay, which is SpecsGastro versus BH. So we have another Rise division. And finally some variety. We've seen a lot of the same Pokemon between the divisions. A lot of rain. A lot of weather, I mean. A lot of Rotoms. A lot of D-Knights. Anyway, so this is the last match, so I have no idea. I don't think I remember watching this match, so we're just going to kind of react as we go. Frisk. I think Frisk is good in draft, especially because it just gives you info. This is just standard stuff. Standard balance stuff, just switching in, switching out as Elf comes in. It's revealed to be Extra Belt, so Taunt, Scald, gonna take a lot. Good U-turn that looks to be physical. And Coolfish comes in. Risky coming in on the Scald, but don't really have a good switch in other than Gastrodon. Crunch, I kind of like Water Move there, but once again, that must just be from the outside perspective. Crunch hits everything. Like, going for the Water Move, it goes back to what we were saying with the last match, with, like, the Slowbro in this situation here, is that U-turn's pretty free, because, one, it kills Slowbro, and two, if they switch, you still get momentum. So, it's the same, like, a lot of people save their Slowbro. They don't sack their Slowbro or Slowking, right? So, same applies here. Like, when they're this low HP, you can kind of safely assume they're not going to stand. So, I do like going for a Water Move there. Mostly because they shouldn't stand, right? So, you hit whatever comes in super hard. I don't really see how Nidoking is to switch into that, but it kind of worked out. Ice Beam does a good chunk. Slowking. This is just gameplay. This guy's light as a feather. So we see that come in. Knockoff. Good knockoff. So it is physical. Yeah, and knocks the Scarf off so you can U-turn out safely. Yeah, that's a good play there. I really like this as Elf set. Though, I must say, this switch is kind of risky, because they could Ice Beam, or Scald. They're not going to Scald, obviously. And you can say that, yeah, maybe they... Because this interaction happened before, right? So, you went Slowking, right? And then... So I think you did a good job. You probably thought a Psychic move was coming, but like you did a good job of scouting out the Grass Knot. Obviously, it could have been like Energy Ball or something. I don't know if it gets any other grass moves. But you could have knocked there. You turn safe in case of Culver. And then the same situation happens here. So you got to be careful because they might be in a position, BH here, to condition you. Like, I think clicking Ice Beam is fine here. I think clicking Ice Beam on Slowking is a very low risk play if they have it, and it hits a Zelf coming in. So like you got to be a little careful with your doubles there, but otherwise it worked out. And then you do get the good knockoff. They probably assumed you were gonna U-turn or something. And then yeah, so that was a good series of events. Just be a little more careful about switching stuff in, you know. QD Pike versus Slaking. Good rocks. Good rocks. That's all. Good double. Good switch out to the Protect. Very risky once again because Nidoking would have destroyed that thing with anything else. Though it's safe to assume that it's dual stab Ice Beam if they are Stealth Rocks. So I could see why you think that switching to Sludge Wave and Earth Power is generally free and they weren't going to click Ice Beam. So that's a good double. Dual Wing Beat reveals itself to do no damage at all. And once again, actually, so it is Ice Beam. So this situation did happen. So this is the exact situation I was talking about with that kind of doubling. So I'm glad we got to kind of like elaborate on what I was talking about because it actually did happen here. So like, once again, Gastrodon, they're not going to click Grass Knot versus this. Gastrodon is a free scout for both Ice Beam and Scald. I think it's just better in general here. So you do get momentum out of it by switching, but once again, it's a Slowking user. They're always going to switch. This guy comes in, Chimkin. EQ. Doesn't look like it's banded or anything. And this is why I don't really get what people see in Barb Barrage. Like, the poison chance is nice, and the double damage is super nice, but you need, like, T-Spike support for that to really work. Like, you can't just rely on poisoning everything, because you're using a It's like a 60 base power move. Like, just use Gunk Shot. You would have killed. Though I get it, because it's Intimidate, so it's probably more defensive. Protect worked out. Could have been nasty plot. You could be scouting out a choice set too, which I believe this is, like choice specs or something. Just based off them switching there. EP's good, but once again, you do have to switch out for Grass Knot here. See, now they're making that play I was talking about. So, like, the conditioning here, this is condition. They think you're going Aerodactyl now on the Grass Knot, or Heatran or something. This is where the conditioning came into play eventually, but it could have come into play on, what was it, turn 6? And you could have lost your Zelf much earlier, and you wouldn't have even killed the Slowking. You would have killed nothing. You wouldn't have, it wouldn't have been a situation where you killed the Typhlosion. Like, you would just gotten killed. So, just food for thought. It worked out because you did get the 2 kills. But, let's see, I need to go back. So, Hitmonlee, go for Crunch. I don't know if this is... Oh yeah, it's a resolve that. It's a Protect. I think it's Choice Locked. They go Slowking, and then they click Ice Beam. So they tried to go for the read there. That's what my whole point. Earth Power. Now they're going to click Grass Knot, because they don't want to overpredict. And you don't take a lot from anyway, so I'm assuming you were probably, like, not even scared of Grass Knot at that point, so that's why you stayed in. So, you know, good for you. It's still doing a lot, but not as much as it should. They're probably starting to kind of sweat a little bit. They're like, wait, I can't kill this thing. Actually, they totally can. A guy like me switches on that Recover, but... It's safe to assume that, like, Grass Knot would cover this. That's why you gotta run the calcs beforehand. That was a big crit, but it doesn't really matter because you're gonna recover here. I don't know what they're clicking here. Oh, yeah. That'll kill. I don't know if that... I think that was choice specs. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, that could have happened to you, like, 2 turns before. Like, a while. So, like, just based off the fact that they switched out instead of clicking it, that tells me immediately it's choice specs. And, like... Yeah, they could have, like, done that on any of those recovers. But decided to do it after the crit, which makes sense, because you're going to be at your lowest. And they crit again. Like I said, I don't know if that matters or not. If it did, unlucky. If it didn't, oh well. Starting to Volt Switch now, which stinks because you lost your Gastrodon. Now Slowking's going to sit on you forever. We could probably do the Rocks up, I guess. Ments is probably Boots, so I don't really see, like, the reason for Rocks at this point. Freeze Dry, that would have done a lot to Slowking. And it's Scarfed, so that actually helps a lot. And that allowed speed Ments too, so now they're realizing, oh crap, I need to kill this immediately. Go for Scald, don't get a burn. And do they just lose to this? I think they just lose to this. Wow. Yeah. Well, the Scarf really worked out for you, I'll say. Yeah, at this point, like, they needed to, like, crit Psychic you or something, or crit Scald and burn. Yeah, they had... If they burned you, it would have saved them. But, alas, the regen doesn't save them. Probably, in my opinion, I see that 28%. I go for the risky stay in here. But another option is they could have switched to Sack Slowking, and then you can live 2 after regen and kill. But then you kind of lose to... And then, yeah, then you can set up in front of Overcool with Ments, assuming it's Dragon Dance. I hope I'm making sense. Because they ended up sacking it anyway to regen, so it's like they could have done that a turn earlier, and then would have probably lived 2 after Rocks from that range instead of just dying to Freeze Dry there. And And it is boots, and it does drive free drive. So that was really good prep with the Scarf. That ended up working out. There's Scarf Ice type versus their team. Pretty clutch. And it was a very good game. There's not much to say there. It's just, this is a good lesson in conditioning here. Is like, this is how you beat, like, recover stall and stuff. This applies to every situation like this. Not even, like... So, come back here. It's fair to assume this could be Colberberry after not seeing leftovers. So U-turn is a good play. And then Crunch should kill through Colbur unless it's like max defense. But they're not going to risk it. They go Nido King. Yada yada. I don't really agree with clicking Ice Beam. I think clicking like Earth Power is just much better here. I guess they were trying to predict the I don't know, Air Balloon Heatran? Aerodactyl? Could be Scarf too. Scarf Rocks. So they easily could have conditioned. This situation happened already with the Grass Knot, and I'm assuming you don't know how much damage you're doing, but clearly staying in a Grass Knot was obviously a play. So they could have easily gone for Ice Beam there and dealt with this really easily. And I think that did matter because, like, you know, it ended up mattering in the end when Scarf Rhyme had to clean up. Like I said, I think you understand what I'm saying. It's just that the conditioning could have happened a lot earlier, and a lot of players will act more on that intuition than others. And some players also just can't see it until later in the match. They're like, hey, I've been in this situation before. And that's kind of the difference here, is that it could have been a Tododas Elf early, and then Rhyme wouldn't have had as much of an easy time breaking this team here if, like, Typhlosion was still around, right? If Typhlosion didn't die to his Elf, you can see what I'm just going with, like, it's like a domino effect. So that's really kind of the only thing I can say about this match, other than, like, you know, like, you positioned yourself pretty well with Rhyme. It's safe to assume that, like, you see a Rhyme in the back, it's probably Spin, so, like, Scarf is a good, like, mix-up here. So, congrats to that. Otherwise, yeah, good game. Not as... looks way closer than the 3-0. Mew-more, by the way. All the music, Mew-more. Very, very good at his job. Anyway, that's about it. That's all I have. We're at an hour and 49. I'll probably cut a few minutes off. But either way, yeah. I'll put some bookmarks and some timestamps in the description.